Hi, everybody. Welcome to Our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today, Aaron, we're going to escape. We're going to crawl our way out of this hellhole of Amigo Studios.
We are underground.
And reach the great hereafter. Is that how that works? Is that no?
It's funny you should put it that way because effectively that's sort of what happened during the real life Great Escape for a lot of these fellas, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's true. They escaped. They escaped into a whole nother plane.
Yeah, you've got to. This is one of those things you have to take sort of with a grain of salt because despite the fact that this game's based on a movie, the movie is loosely based on a real event, an amazing real event, but. For the amount of people that were involved in the Great Escape, very, very few actually escaped. It's quite a remarkable tale.
It is, and it didn't end quite as dramatically, I think, as the movie made it seem. I don't believe in the actual real. Now, I could be wrong, because but there was no actual motorcycle jump over the barbed wire at the end of the real Great Escape.
No. Now, have you seen this film?
I sort of made it a priority to watch this film when I found out we were doing it because I'd heard of it. Yeah. I didn't. I watched the trailer. But
it's a good movie.
I know. And it seems like it would be right up my alley, too. I watched a movie once called Flight of the Phoenix, which I think was another World War II movie where they crashed. There was a plane that crashed in the desert, and somehow they had to rebuild it. And it was this band of guys, sort of a buddy type thing. And I like movies like that, so I think I'd like The Great Escape.
I saw the movie. I'll be honest, I didn't rewatch it this week, but I've seen it a couple times because I like this kind of movie. Steve McQueen, awesome. But I watched the thing on the History Channel where they got some of the guys, the survivors, together and actually discuss what actually happened at the actual. Because this is a game based on a movie based on a book that's based on a real life occurrence, and the guy that wrote the book was in the Stalag or in the prison camp, in the Stalag, and he wasn't one of the main players, but he was like one of the guys that was in the gang that broke out. I believe he said his role was a lookout. That's pretty much what he did. But when the movie was made to receive better notice from America, they changed the way it actually happened. So some of the characters in it are sort of amalgamations of 3 or 4 different guys. Some of the endings are taken from other breaks, prison camp breaks, and the American presence in it is not realistic because in the actual events of the prison break, there were Americans involved early on, but then those guys got moved away, and so the majority of the people that worked on this were the British. And believe it or not, a large portion of it were Canadians were involved.
So the Great Escape, as depicted in the film of being a mostly Yank bunch, was actually a much more international affair involving few, if any, Americans.
Well, there were Americans involved early on, but later on, practically none, from what I read. Now, that doesn't diminish the film, which is a good film, but I mean, you've got to take the film with a grain of salt. Like you said, the whole bike jump thing, which that's an iconic event in the movie. And from what I read, and this was mentioned in the documentary, Steve McQueen was really good at driving a motorcycle. And he was like, hey, let's put in this bit where I drive a motorcycle. And they're like, okay. And he did all the stunts for it except for the actual jump. They had his buddy do the jump because they couldn't insure him to do it. And if you watch that, have you seen that whole section of the film?
No, I've just seen the part, the famous part.
Yeah, well, I mean, he jumps over the smaller fence, a border fence, but he's trapped between the two fences with 0% chance of escape because the other fence is huge and he's right beside it. So he crashes into the fence and they catch him. But one thing they depict in the film, and this is true, I mean, only as I recall, and I'm going out of memory here, but out of all the people that escaped, I think 3 made it to safety, and 50 men were rounded up and shot right away. They picked them up. Now in the movie, they unload them off a truck and just blow them away. But from what I read, they shot them in more not all at once, but they still killed 50 guys.
Still same end result.
And then a bunch of dudes went back to the camp. And if you were at the end of the film, Steve McQueen's character, they catch him, they take him back to the camp, they put him back in solitary in the hole or whatever, and he's back in there. They're going to do it again. That was the premise of the film. a cool film and a kind of a neat thing in history with the prison escape is always cool. I always like those kind of movies.
What's the is it Stalag? Isn't there another prison escape movie? It's like Stalag 13 or something like that?
Stalag 13 is I think that's the Stalag in Hogan's Heroes.
Oh, okay. So this is not.
Which is another show based on escaping from a German prison
camp. But this was a non-comedic film that I saw that was very similar. In fact, I remember clearly I was house sitting for the professor, the director of bands at Ohio University, and I was watching this thing on TV, and this guy fried an egg on like a pan, And I think he fried it in his helmet or something like that. And I was like, man, I'm going to fry an egg right now. That film inspired me to fry an egg.
Your inspiration is strange and wrong.
It is.
It's when they made this film, they had consultants that had been. In fact, one of the guys that was an actor in this had actually been in an escapee from a prison camp. Believe it or not. So he would give them tips on what to do and stuff. So a lot of the stuff that happened in the film didn't necessarily happen at this particular event, but it was stuff that they culled together from other escape attempts. And they also asked, I thought this was real interesting, when they got some of the survivors together to get some information on how to make the movie, stuff like how to forge documents and how to make uniforms and all this other crap, they asked them not to show in detail because their fear was if they showed this stuff, no one could use it going forward, the techniques going further. So there was a real thought when this was made, and it's
almost like in MacGyver. Remember how they always whenever MacGyver came out, there were all of these people that said, "Well, I learned how to make a bomb from MacGyver," and the producers they said, "No, we actually leave out like the most important step if you were actually going to do this."
Yeah, I was where you were going.
Yeah,
you got to think the movie premiered in '63. All right, so you're talking roughly a little less than 20 years after the Second World War. But that was I can still see where you would be paranoid enough not to want to show these techniques. I thought that was kind of an interesting thing. I should mention that the novel it's based on is called The Great Escape by Paul Brickhill, and the movie was long. I remember that when I saw it, and the budget on this thing, and this is again in the early '60s, $3.8 million, and it box office gross, the total that took in was $11.7 million. This was a huge runaway success when this film came out. And it's funny you think about it now. They'll spend $11 million on catering. Compared to what they used to. Mm-hmm. But
well, you got to think about I imagine that they were able to probably construct a POW-looking camp pretty easily on a backlot somewhere. So there was not a whole lot of staging involved.
They actually filmed this thing. They filmed it overseas.
Did they really?
Wow. I'm wondering if I actually wrote down where they actually filmed it. I was surprised, but I think they actually filmed this. Let me see here. I think they filmed it in Germany. I mean, it was somewhere in Europe. They filmed it. So you'd think I thought the same thing. They probably filmed this, but they actually filmed at least a lion's share. But also the scenes where he's driving the motorcycle, that's all filmed like on location somewhere. Yeah,
okay.
That was kind of neat. So. Sort of older people like myself, I hate to say it, but Steve McQueen was sort of a special actor. He was in Bullet. He was in this. He was in
the Italian Job
too?
He
was the man. I'm not sure. But he was like the man's man for like the '60s.
Sure.
Like, this is the guy.
Was he sort of like Eastwood in that same oeuvre?
More down to earth.
Okay.
This is a guy you could go out and have a beer with.
Mm-hmm.
So I should also.
You think even in the '60s, Eastwood was kind of a parody of himself?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, Eastwood was like sort of that character actor. He played that cowboy type of the real tough guy.
Right.
McQueen, if you watch his film, he just seems like he almost seems sort of daffy a little bit, a little lighthearted, in his ways, and brazen, but in a playful way. Whereas Clint Eastwood was not playful; he would kill you. Something else. Charles Bronson's in this. If you are into him, he's chiseled and jacked. He plays one of the tunnel diggers in this, and he's pretty. I always liked Charles Bronson. He was pretty cool. James Garner's in it. If you know him, he was the guy that played. He was in Rockford Files, and
Isn't he James?
He played a Maverick.
That's right. Yeah.
In the Maverick show, and he also played. He's in the sequel, the Maverick with Mel Gibson. He played Maverick's dad. So he's been a ton of stuff.
That's
too.
the Maverick I'm familiar with.
You had a good cast of guys in this. And so you could Donald Pleasance is in it. He's another guy that he's a big deal. So you had a lot of good Richard Attenborough, another guy, all-star cast. I recommend you see the movie.
You don't have the, you do, I see that right there. The runtime, 172 minutes.
Yeah, it's a long film.
Long
and that
film.
was actually one of the things that was held up against it. They were like, it's too long. So there you go.
Maybe maybe there is an edited version somewhere, like
Well, I'm trying to think if I thought it was too long. I mean, it's a long time to set through a movie, but I mean, if it's good, and they are, and I don't know how much you know about this, but this isn't a movie where these guys just sort of dig a tunnel and leave. There's a lot of failures, and even in real life, they were digging 3 simultaneous tunnels. There was one under the stove, there was one in like the shower drain, and I can't remember where the other one was at. I think it was out in the shed or something. And this actually happened in real life. They were digging 3 tunnels under the assumption that they'd get caught with 1 or 2, and they'd still have a third one to go out. So that was but there's a lot of that. And they answer a lot of how do I get rid of the dirt, and there's a lot of stuff there, like the daily routine of the camp, and so it's long, but I mean it's not boring. I don't think anyway. So we might as well seamlessly move into the game. So this week we tackled The Great Escape. Well, we tackled it. In some cases, it tackled us.
It's one of these games where you don't have to win to have fun. I'll talk more later, but go ahead.
Okay. This game came out in '86 and was published by Ocean, developed by an outfit called Denton Designs. I'm trying to think if we've ever done any of their stuff, Bo. Their stuff includes Balances. I love Cosmic War Toad. Put that on the list.
Wow.
Double Take, Enigma Force. I like that. Flashpoint. Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
So these guys did a lot of different things.
Yes. I've heard that title. I'm like, why does that work? What are you doing, the Frankie Goes to Hollywood game?
Isn't there another game where you're just maybe I'm always just thinking about Frankie Goes to Hollywood.
I don't know what you do in this. A Gift from the Gods, Info Droid, Mad Balls, Spy Hunter. And they also did Transformers and Troll. A lot of games.
Yeah.
And that's not even all of them. This game was designed by a fellow named John Heap. Aside from some of the stuff we mentioned, he also did Alien, Fox Fights Back, Shadowfire, and a game called Where Time Stood Still, which was supposed to be a real popular game. And the Time Stood Still game is sort of based on the same engine or whatnot as this, from what I've read. Graphics in this, Ali Noble. This released at a price of £7.95, and the budget was £3, so standard stuff. This surprised me, Boat. This really surprised me. This got released for other systems. I never knew it did. Amstrad got a copy, the C64, DOS, and Windows. Weird. Windows must be a new release.
Yeah, it was.
It was released for like 3.1.
No. There was a window. Well,
86. And we after the fact. This is the kind of game that would get a Windows. I mean, I could see DOS.
Well, this game was remade. But I would
maybe
think
that's what they listed in.
But I think it would be on a different page.
Yeah, that's weird. But
because there's
a couple places.
I think it came out on the 360 and stuff too. So I think that's yeah.
That's how wacky.
Yeah, and it's like a third person shooter. It's not the same as this game.
Right. So let's talk about how this game starts up. It plays the cool theme. What's the name of that song? You're a music guy.
That sounded like bup bup.
That's it.
Isn't that the theme from Hogan's Heroes?
No. That's not the theme from Hogan's Heroes.
What's the theme from Hogan's Heroes? I thought it was
No, it's more of a marching band type tune. Someone will help me out here because it's another one I've heard, but it's not this. This film's sort of famous for this game. So much like the film in this, it is 1942. Gosh, this makes my grandfather was in a German POW camp, so it just dawned on me as the first time I thought about it. The year's 1942, and you're in a German POW camp. So your job in this game is to find ways to escape. All right, the camp is a castle, and it's surrounded on 3 sides by cliffs and the ocean. So not good.
It's not
a good place to put a camp.
Yeah, right.
And there are a lot of facets to actually getting out of the camp. Now, the screen that pops up, of course, you can just set up your keys. You've got the joystick. I'm assuming you play this with a stick.
Yeah.
I play with the keyboard.
Pixels at Dawn in the chat confirms that I was singing the tune to Hogan's Heroes. I think you've got it confused with the theme from The Great Escape.
No, I'll have to. We'll realign on that. I'll have to think. I mean, tunes are not my strong point. So anyway, this game starts you as a German POW, and your job is to escape. Now let me ask you a question, and this is the semantics. In the world of POWs, are you a German POW? No, you're a German POW camp.
Right, okay. I just didn't know if...
I'm not sure it specifies who you are. So one, that would suck if you're German and in a POW camp. So I'm assuming you're a down soldier.
Okay, Pix has gone back and he says that I was singing The Great Escape.
Yeah, thank you. Don't do that to me, Pix. What are you doing to me? But anyway, I noticed that you start off this game in bed. So let's talk about this opening screen, which is this is a screen. There's number one, you've got a flag that flies, and you've got a monochrome screen surrounded in like a barbed wire frame. Then you've got a bell, and you've got some medals with some numbers over.
Right.
Okay, that's what you look at.
Yeah, that's right.
And you start off with your guy in bed, in his bunk, basically. Now, if you don't touch the controller, your guy will just get up and take off.
Right.
That blew me away.
This is
right out of the gate. I was like, what's happening?
I read the instructions before I started, so I knew it was coming. Yeah. But there's not a whole lot of games that act the way this game acts.
It reminds me of when there are some sports games where if you don't touch the controller, he'll just play without you.
Oh, okay.
I think, like
cricket is like that.
And so
Graham Gooch.
But this is actually sort of important in a way, because the object of this game is to escape. And so to escape, you need to gather certain materials and go certain places to do things. But what you also kind of have to do is do what all the other prisoners do all the time. Mm-hmm. This is where I stumbled, I can tell you, because you have to. I would load this up and just watch the guy, so you can see what he does. He gets up, he goes to roll call, he goes to breakfast. He goes out in the yard. He goes to roll call again. He goes to lunch. There's all kinds of guards around. You can only walk in certain areas, and you can't go in certain places. So I would just watch the guy, and you have to sort of fulfill your guy's obligations that a prisoner would have, so you won't raise any suspicions.
Right.
Which is where the flag comes in. The flag will, if it's green and it's at full mast, you're in good shape. If it's in red, you could have some trouble. And if it gets to half mast, then you've got real problems. And if it's flashing red half mast, you're boned. I think that's pretty much how it goes.
Right.
I got the flag.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, and so basically the way that this game works is, when you're being watched. It's almost like a stealth game, okay? In Metal Gear, say, there's a tell where your radar changes when you're being noticed. And in this game, you're walking around in plain sight, so it's not like you're hiding from people. But whenever the guards are going to be alerted to the fact that you are not on schedule, that's when the flag changes come.
Yeah, and also the guards don't screw around, they'll come and get you. Yeah, they don't care. So you're dealing with several different types of people, and this is spelled out pretty well. Actually, this is one of those games. I always try playing it before I look at the manual. Holy smokes.
You have a tough time with this one.
You're done. There's a 0% chance. And with the manual, there's a 1% chance. So you've got basically 4 types of characters in this that aren't you. You've got guards, right? You've got fellow prisoners, and then you've got the main guy that runs the camp, all right? And the guards are not dumb. I mean, no one in this game is dumb except for me and my prisoner. He was dumb as a sack of hammers. And so what you've got to do is go around the camp and gather stuff. Now, I will say up front that without a walkthrough on this, there was a 0% chance of me getting anywhere. With the walkthrough in my hand, with a complete solution, I still had all kinds of trouble. I didn't get very far at all. we should mention there's also a bell that will ring, and the bell will ring if you are basically, it rings for a bunch of different reasons. It also rings whenever you're supposed to go somewhere.
Yeah,
and also if you screw up or if someone tries to escape, the bell rings continuously.
Right.
And you get little messages at the bottom of the screen and that will tell you why the bell's ringing.
Mm-hmm.
The bell might be ringing because it's roll call. It might be dinner time. There's no telling why, but it tells you right there. I hate that bell.
Yeah, it gets very annoying.
It rings all the time. I was thinking to myself, this would be, you're already a prisoner of war. You got to sit through this crap.
Right.
It's worse than school.
It's no fun being a prisoner of war. I think we can take that from this game.
No, absolutely not. So how did you cope? How did you start off? I really am interested because I really was baffled at what I was supposed to do.
Okay. Well, I read the docs and I got the idea of the way that the mechanics worked. Okay. So what I did was I started the game. And I did not do what you did. I didn't let my guy go. I was right out the door. I was like, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to slip under the radar.
Well, I didn't mean to do it. I was looking.
You were just watching
I was looking
things.
And he just took off.
Right,
yeah.
right. And so I immediately started walking around and I walked into different buildings and things and I picked some things up and I was like, okay, I think I'm getting things. And then all of a sudden, boom, solitary. Item gets taken away.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So, you can pick up, you can really roam around pretty well in this game and you can sort of feel like you're getting by, but the guards will find you and they will take your stuff.
Just to jump in on that topic, you can walk around the camp. You can go all kinds of places, but one time I jumped out of bed. I took like 4 steps up the door and I was instantly in solitary. Mm-hmm. Instantly.
Yeah.
You could easily get, if you go to the wrong spot. There's a scene in the movie. There's a piece of barbed wire that runs all around the camp in the movie. It's about 5 or 6 or 10 foot from the actual gate, the actual walls, and they call that the line of death. If you go across that, the guards can come up and shoot you. And they do shoot a dude. Mm-hmm. In the movie, a little Scottish guy. In this game, you're not going to get shot necessarily, but they'll just come and nab you.
Yeah.
And then when you're in solitary, you just sit there like an idiot.
Yeah, and it's not, I don't know. I'm not going to profess to be an expert in this game, but I don't think that you are under any sort of time constraint. I think you get as many days as you want to escape, but it's just so freaking annoying because when you're in there, you get the little message, another day passes, and you're just sitting there and you can't do anything, and it's just annoying.
Yeah.
Now, at the bottom of the instructions, they do give you a little hint. They're like, to get started, here's what you need to do. And the first thing that they tell you to do is to go to the lower right corner of the camp, and underneath the guard tower, there's a key.
Yeah, that's exactly what
I went to the lower right corner.
Yeah.
And I would have never found that key in a million years. Yeah. Never. I mean, it's incredibly well hidden. It's not in plain sight at all. I just mashed the pick up key.
You should not feel bad, and I'll tell you why. I had the exact same problem, and this one I didn't. Unlike my usual maneuver, I went instantly to YouTube. I was like, I got to see where the heck this key's at. And sure enough, the first walkthrough I found, the guy went right to it. And I'm like, oh man. And then you got to, because also you picking stuff up and using stuff in this game it's actually pretty intuitive. It's pretty smart, but you have to kind of figure out what you're doing there, how to use it. Because you kind of have to hit the button and go left or right to get to use it. And you have to pick it up. But I was exactly the same way. I'm like, where is this key? I knew I was in the right spot. Mm-hmm. It's the only lower right-hand tower there is.
Right.
And if you go at the wrong time, you get arrested. I got arrested 1,000,000 times.
Something that I think would have helped, at least for me to conceptualize this whole camp, is if I would have had did you see the map that came with the game? There's a full color, it's sort of an artist rendition of what the camp looks like.
I saw a picture of it on World of Spectrum. They have a digitized version.
And, that it would have been helpful to sort of set that up just so I could kind of see in my mind's eye the entire camp, because if you don't have that, all the buildings do look a lot alike.
And there's a lot of wandering.
Yeah.
I will say that the good thing about that guard tower is that's the one thing you can find. You just keep going down until you see it.
Right.
And you're going to run into it. You're right. The barracks is all come together. And when you're actually controlling your guy and you're trying to do the stuff that you're supposed to do, I can't tell you how many times I was trying to get somewhere, I just couldn't make it, or got lost, and then I got put in solitary. It was very frustrating.
Yeah,
so
because the minute that you switch into red flag mode, you know that they're gonna find you and they're gonna get you.
Yeah.
And the way that you get around, you can't escape going to solitary. I mean, I don't know if it's possible to beat this game without going to solitary. Actually, I know it's impossible because I think there's an item in the solitary room that you need to complete the game. What this game does to offer you a way to progress is that hidden throughout the POW camp, there are places where you can place objects, and they're hidden behind walls. So in your room, there's a stove, and you can push that stove out of the way, and you go into a little crawl space, and you can place objects there. The way that they do that was pretty cool. I like the way that they changed the color of the screen. You know, they make it blue or they make it red, depending on where you are. Yeah. And so I thought that was pretty neat. And you can place objects there, so when you go out to find other objects, you don't have to worry that you're going to lose everything.
I was happy because the oven, the stove in your room, I had watched the movie, and I remember that's hey, I wonder if this thing's got the hole, and so that was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they actually sort of capture in a weird way. Again, and this probably be more prevalent if I was better at it, but they kind of capture in a strange way the monotony and the weirdness of being in a prison camp like this, and you're stowing stuff, and you're trying not to get caught. That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
You know, did you ever get the officer's uniform and wear that thing around?
I watched that on the video. I didn't get that far.
I did. I did get. Well, I mean, I cheated. I mean, by cheat, I mean I just literally. Hey,
you had to walk through it. Yeah.
Full disclosure. This game, I was flummoxed. The first couple of times I played it, I gave up. I was like, what the heck do you do?
Yeah.
And I'd heard how great this game was, and I couldn't figure out what was going on.
Well, here, what I did was I read the docs, and I went in and I was like, okay, I'm going to pretend like that I just got this game for Christmas, and I'm just going to, and here's the thing, I went to solitary a million times. I found a bunch of different things. I stowed them away. I still kind of had fun just doing that. And sometimes I just let the controls go and let my guy walk around and do his thing. I thought it was a really neat sort of slice of life type experience game. And you know what it reminded me of the most? School Days. School Days is a very similar thing where you go to where you need to go, or you can do your own thing. If you do your own thing, you're going to get caught, and there's going to be consequences.
The similarities are striking, and it never occurred to me. I think this game's a little more focused than School Days, but it's like it's very similar. I mean, I don't know why I didn't think about that. You're dead on there. I felt more. I was into this more. Just maybe it's because of the movie or whatever, but I will say, it's very similar. I agree with that. I mean, you can't do quite as much. One thing in School Days, you're not going to get arrested in a couple minutes.
No.
But this game, this is one of those games that's frustrating to try to look at and quickly. I played this game on and off probably about 4 times, and the first 2 times I just quit. I'm like, I don't know what's happening. And then I watched I downloaded the docs sitting right here and printed them out. And I also watched a guy play through the first parts of it just so I could understand what was happening. And then I went in, because there's also part of the thing with the flag is also the morale of your buddies, and that comes into play somehow. There's a lot of stuff that I didn't get to see or didn't understand that comes into play. So there are certainly parts of this game that I didn't fully comprehend. But I understood the appeal because it is neat when you can it's fun to get away with stuff. That's kind of cool, or to hide stuff. But I will say the part that took me out of it, and which is realistic, is the getting arrested over and over and getting and having to try to keep up with the appearances.
Yeah, in real life, if they catch you with contraband like 16 times in a row, I think that they're going to probably do something worse to you than put you in solitary.
You would think so, but I mean, in the movie. Steve McQueen, the thing about he literally engineered 80 people escaped or whatever, and they didn't kill him, because a lot of it was because they're officers,
right?
Believe it or not, that.
I think isn't that something in the Geneva Convention?
Well, he was a pilot in the movie, Yeah, you're not supposed to. Of course, they did a lot of stuff you're not supposed to do.
That's true.
Everyone did. To be frank.
Now, let me ask you a somewhat related question.
All right.
What's the name of the movie where the guy has the tennis ball and he keeps getting sent back to solitary and he throws that tennis ball against the wall?
And it's a baseball, but it's this.
Is it this
Steve
movie?
McQueen sits with the baseball.
I have seen this movie then because I remember that scene.
In fact, the very last part of the movie where they arrest him after he's
and he bounces. Okay.
The guy goes, "Here you go," and he throws him his mitt with the ball, and he goes back into solitary.
So I have seen this movie
as the guard's
before.
locking up, you hear
right,
and the guard's like, "What is that?" And
okay,
Steve McQueen and
that's
throwing
funny.
that ball up against the wall.
Okay, mystery solved.
Yeah, that's it. This is one I'm going to put on the play in the future when you've got more time. And what I'd like to do is, what would be fun is to have someone that's really good at this come over and guide me.
Oh yeah.
This is one where watching a tutorial, because there's a lot of timing and stuff that I just couldn't get. I would love to see someone, and really, if you see someone playing online or something, you lose. I'd like to have someone in the room.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
That would be more fun for me. And of course, I did not escape. Believe it or not. So there you go. I know you're stunned to hear that, and I'm guessing you didn't either.
I did not escape. I thought it was funny though. I don't know if you read this or not, but if you escape without the compass, you just sort of blunder off into the world, and you don't escape. You don't beat the game, and you don't get the end screen because you don't have the compass, so you can't find your way to freedom.
Oh God, how depressing would that be?
Yeah.
I think I would still go for it though. I was on. I think it was Giant Bomb. Somebody that covers these games in the description. Just to kind of to put this in perspective, right? You in a day, you've got to attend 2 roll calls, a meal, an exercise every day, and you've got to get to those things. Also, you've got to get to bed call every day.
Right. One thing that I think would have been helpful to me is if I would have had some sort of and I know this would totally take you out of the experience because you wouldn't have one of these as a POW, but some sort of a countdown saying you've got this much time before this starts. Now, the flag going up and down, is that what that's supposed to signify?
As far I know, it means when some of it's the morale of your buddies. I know that's part of it, and
that's right. That's what it is. It's the morale.
Something else I was never 100% sure of, and I know people are going to groan, but I'm just going to say it because it's true. The counters at the bottom of the screen with the medals over them. Can you enlighten me as to what the hell those are?
I have no idea what that means.
I couldn't. No one said it anywhere. I looked. I was like, what is that?
Yeah, I know that as you progress through the game, one of those medal numbers counts up, but I don't know why or how. And even when you get to the end of the game, like when you watch this guy playing through, it's not like there are still some of the medals that are not like a high number. So, and
I flipped through a bunch of stuff just trying to hit someone to tell me what they are. No one did. I'll grab some reviews for this thing, Boat. Guess what? It did quite well. These are hard to believe, but it's true. ZX Computing, Your Computer, and Sinclair User all gave this the 5-star special. Crash gave it a 96 out of 100. Computer Gamer gave it a 90 out of 100. Your Sinclair gave it a 9 out of 10. 90%. CBG gave it an 8 out of 10. Popular Computer Weekly, that's a new one, 80%. And Eurogamer, this is a modern score, gave it an 80%. This one, the Commodore Force, December 1993 issue, number 98 in the Reader's 100. Zap gave this on the list for best games of the 80s. And Your Sinclair Top 100 ranked this at number 23. So it did quite well. And World of Spectrum, by the way, I should mention, gave this an 8.54, big score. And if you're looking to get this on eBay, you're talking $11.
Okay.
So there you go. Did you get any listener reviews?
We did. Paul, aka Hermsky, gives this game 9 out of 10. He says, "This takes me back to 1986. What a fantastic game for this era. I spent many hours working out puzzles, navigating the tunnels, evading guards, trying to escape. Many a time I found myself forgetting to escape, instead just enjoying the experience of a POW. I bet not. You don't hear that every day.
POW simulator,
yeah.
Game.
In the free roam camp and its buildings. However, I was a bit disappointed you never got to ride off into the sunset on a motorbike. The graphics were impressive for the time with its comprehensive 3D map. Yes, it was mostly black and white, but you know what? It worked, providing an authentic feel to the darkness of the POW camps." D-Man says, "With respect to Ultimate, I always considered this the best of the isometric style games on the Speccy. A great game that still has the ability to make me jump out of my skin when a guard appears at the exact moment that an illicit object is pilfered or the prisoner is somewhere he shouldn't be. Awesome stuff, 9 out of 10.
Wow.
And finally, Graham Vebke says, I didn't spend as long as I would have liked with this game due to jet lag, but it's very good and worth 8 out of 10. It did take me a little while to reacquaint myself with isometric controls for this game, but it's a lot of fun, especially evading the guards. It plays well, looks great for its theme, and the sound is okay. I'll revisit this game again, and it deserves the praise it receives.
You know, they mentioned a couple of things. Control-wise, the keyboard is not the best choice. Mm-hmm. Okay, number one, I'll tell you that right now. That was one thing I didn't like. The keyboard made it difficult for me to play. But I thought the graphics on this looked pretty good.
Yeah.
You could tell what everything was. I was never confused about what was going on.
Right.
But I will say, evading the guards, the fun of that, I didn't evade the guards. I sucked at that. I did get caught pilfering stuff, but I just sucked. I had the keyboard was fine, but where you're in that isometric view, I had trouble. It's just like a Kubert type effect. It was hard to move back. It was just weird, you know.
I did think about Kubert several times playing this game.
Really? Or are you just mocking me?
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, it's because of the controls, right? Yeah.
And I find this a lot with a lot of these isometric games. Yeah. It's the same sort of deal. That's the downfall. You know, I think most people would agree that the strength of the Spectrum is in its isometric titles, at least in part. But of course, you can't have a joystick. You basically turn your joystick and you can't turn the keyboard on its side. It doesn't work.
I will say, this game reminded me of an isometric Castle Wolfenstein. Mm-hmm. It's the same premise. You're escaping from the Nazis, the POW camp. It's it's on the. But this is a deeper game. There's no doubt. It's a much deeper game.
Yeah.
However, I would probably go with Wolfenstein just because. But Wolfenstein, really, this beats it on almost every level graphically, the depth of the game. But Wolfenstein, it's easier to control, and it's more actiony and less thinky-y.
Yeah, this is really a progenitor to the modern day stealth game.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah, and this is one you heard a couple people mention they hadn't got to devote much time. And poor old Grammy's been all over the world here recently, so I mentioned it. But this one, it's not something you knock off in a week. You really need. I could see where this would be fun when you sit down and explore and actually try to work this stuff out.
This would be one of these games, because I had games like this on the Atari when I was a kid, where you'd get this game in a big pile of pirated discs. And every once in a while, you'd fire it up and you'd tool around in it for a little bit, and you'd have some fun. And then when it got frustrating, you'd turn it off, forget about it for 6 months, and then come back to it again.
Bam, you just nailed it. That's exactly what would happen. Because I'd get these games and be like, screw this, it's too hard. Where's Paperboy?
Right. Right. All right, Aaron. Well, it's time to thank the fine folks that are here with us on Twitch. We do record this show around 6 o'clock Eastern every Friday night. And you can join us live on twitch.tv/Amigos Retro Gaming, like the following folks. Picard 2010 is here with us. 10-Minute Amiga Retrocast. L. Curtis B. Duncan Styles. Vicky is here. Vicky Pixel Vixen, sorry. Ed Van Helland reporting from the Man Cave. Rushi MSX. Thank you all so much for being here with us this evening, staying up late for those of you in Europe. We really appreciate it. If you would like to subscribe to our channel on Twitch and you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, you get a free Twitch sub. We'd be honored if you would use that on us. And if you've used it in the past and would like to do it again, you do have to manually resubscribe.
We'll be repeatedly honored every time you do it.
Absolutely. So, and thank you for those of you that have subscribed to us on Twitch. I will print that list out and have it read it off next week. And finally, Aaron, it's time to thank our Patreon supporters. Our Patreon page is patreon.com/Our Sinclair. If you'd like to support us, there's all kinds of really cool perks to being a Patreon supporter, including you get to leave reviews on our Discord channel. You get access to our Discord server, and if you are a Clive's Club member, you get to pick a game that we play. So definitely check that out if you are so inclined. And I'd like to thank our supporters: Hermsky, Andrew Waite, David Spencer, Cap and Crispy, Laurent Giroux, Gary Heather, Eric Nelson, Harbonaut, Graham, Vebke, Frodo NL, Tapes from the Crypt, Pixels at Dawn, doing a great job modding over on Twitch, Chris Folds, Paul Harrington, and Christopher Hassel. And next week, Aaron, we're going to be taking a look, and I believe that this may be another isometric game. I know that this is an ultimate play of the game. And that could mean one thing and it could mean another, but I think that Underworld is another isometric adventure.
This is a sequel or something?
I believe that Underworld came before Batman, and Batman used the Underworld engine.
Yeah, man. I think you got it. Underworld. All right, I'm guessing German, eh?
Yeah.
All right, we'll give it a whirl, man.
All right, sounds good. We'll see you guys next week. Until then, rewind tape
and press play.